just don't trust that. I'm very skeptical and leery of people. So, like I said, if you can, if possible, just go ahead and get most of everything done at the dealership. That way, that'll actually increase the resale value because you'll have all that paperwork and that documentation
Hi,
that's
Jalen.
that's been at the dealer. So your car's been serviced at the dealer every time, and it just looks good for the history of your vehicle.
He said that his city has the only Mercedes factory in the U.S. So how do you feel about this whole Jiffy Lube thing? Like, I don't even know what the big
Oh,
thing
thank you,
is,
Eddie. I appreciate it, man.
Tim. So what's the question on a Jiffy Lube? Like, is Jiffy Lube a good place to go to or what?
Yeah, Tim, what's your take on it? If you're talking, Tim, we can't hear you.
Oh, right. Tim, we can't even hear you.
My bad. My bad. I was muted.
Okay.
I didn't know I was muted.
Oh, no. Oh, no, that's
Um, yeah, no, I totally agree. Especially with Eddie asked the question, driving a Nissan, you definitely want to go. You want to get dealership documentation. You have full service records. Help you hold value on your vehicle. That's what a lot of people don't pay attention to is holding value of your vehicle, because
Absolutely.
that means a lot moving forward. Um, Now there are some German car. When you have a German car, there are some specialists out there. But if you're not referred to by somebody that has a German car and has
Absolutely.
had more than one and used that person, don't trust the specialist because every mechanic thinks he's a specialist, or every
no, right?
claims to be a specialist, and he will fuck your car up. I'm sorry, but he, he will.
Keep it real in the closet.
I have been in one of the specialists and found my freaking engine in the trunk when it was all over. So, dealership is the way to go. Definitely, because they will hold themselves accountable. That's another thing is not just your insurance, the insurance of a dealership. That's a big deal because they will hold themselves accountable if they screw your ride up. Whereas Joe Blow on the corner will not. He is not responsible for his own work. So
You definitely preaching right now, Tim.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's just what I've seen from where I sit. I know now I do know a lot of people that drive German make cars. They go to guys that specialize in German make European cars, I should say, and those people they work on nothing but European vehicles. I mean, those specialists, you can't bring your Ford up there. It ain't gonna happen. They're gonna tell you to go to the dealership or go someplace else. They only work on European vehicles, the true specialists. And again, if you're not referred to by somebody that has been using that person for years, don't trust it. Every mechanic is his own expert.
Absolutely, 100,000%. That's why I gave you so many props. I'm gonna give you a couple more for that, Tim, because you couldn't have said it better. That's exactly, um, try not to cut corners. And I'm very particular with. Hey, Melanie, how you doing? I'm very particular with everything as far as my investments, and I have to make sure I make a good investment, a safe investment. I even chose an insurance company. One of the factors that was important to me is that I asked the insurance company if I were to get into an accident. Because this specific car is an AMG, would you guys put OEM parts back on the car? And then, a lot of companies were like, no, we just put, aftermarket what fits. I said, I don't want aftermarket parts on this car. I have to have AMG OEM parts on there because it's going to mess up the resale value. And they were like, well, we can't guarantee that. So that's why one of the reasons why I went to Liberty Mutual, because they guarantee me, because they're a Mercedes partner, that they put OEM parts on the car if I were to get into an accident. So that's how thorough I am in my research and whatnot as far as dealing with cars, because the last thing you want is to have a nice car and then something happened to it and they just put anything on there. And now you have less performance than you had when you first got it.
That is an excellent point. And for those that don't know, OEM stands for Original Equipment Manufacturer.
Thank
Know that.
you. Appreciate it, Tim.
Good old town.
Yeah,
that is that is an absolute fact, and that's another reason for going to dealerships that use OEM equipment, because when somebody uses aftermarket equipment, oftentimes they go for price. They are purchasing the cheapest parts they can purchase so that they can
Absolutely.
maximize their profits. And you end up with cheap shit. You end up with a windshield with bubbles in it that you can't see out of. And you don't want that. You want to make sure that you are getting something like, for instance, if you have a Chrysler product, if your windshield doesn't have the Mopar emblem in it, they consider that breaking the seal and it is no longer covered. So that's something that you got to watch. So if you have something in your a lot of people like to put extra stuff on their ride. If that stuff is not OEM equipment, aftermarket equipment is not covered, and it does not increase the value. In fact, it devalues your vehicle.
Absolutely.
So you pull up, you like, look, I spent $800 on this sound system, the JVC. Well, guess what? Your JVC can vibrate the concrete, but it also lowers the value of your vehicle. You
Absolutely.
you just lost about $2,000 worth of value in your trade because you put an $800 sound system in it that they cannot certify.
And additionally,
the dealership can't certify it, it's going to lose value.
Yeah.
Period.
And additionally, you null and voided your warranty by adding extra parts too.
Absolutely. Your warranty your warranty covers OEM equipment. That is a fact.
The warranty covers everything.
But no, and nothing.
Oh.
No, don't cover everything. You better recognize. But it covers. It's worth it though, because think about this. Say you blow your air conditioner, or more important, since you're down here, air conditioner is the important thing. Up there, the heat is say your heat goes out, your heat stops working in your car. Live with that in the middle of January. All right.
Right? Yeah.
Guess what? It can cost you upwards of $800 to get that fixed. Well, yeah, I dropped an extra $1,000 that I'm making in my payments to buy an extra warranty on it, and now it's covered. Now that $800 turned into a $250 deductible. So that's what it comes in handy like crazy for some things you don't know, and it depends on what you're driving. If you drive a Lexus, you've got to get windshield. You got to get a warranty because you need your windshield covered, because that windshield on a Lexus is $1,200. People don't get that, and $1,800 after they add labor. So you spend $1,800 on a windshield if you drive a Lexus, just because you would ride behind a truck and it threw a rock at you. So but that windshield has Bluetooth technology in it. It has all of this stuff that makes it so cool. When you were buying it, it sounded good, but if it ain't covered, you up shit's creek without a paddle.
Now you at the store, be like, give me the windshield with no Bluetooth. Regular windshield.
Yeah, and guess what? They're gonna give you the cheapest windshield they can find. Yeah, okay. You may as well go to Leo down the road, because Leo can hook you up a cheap windshield. But guess what? You're no longer covered. You've broken the seal.
Did you answer Eddie's question about the gas? Did y'all do that already?
So that's a good question, Eddie. Personally, for my vehicle, because like I said, I'm a very particular individual. Mercedes-Benz recommends Mobil 1. So since I've had the car, I've only put Mobil 1 93 premium, and some cars will say premium octane, preferred. So I mean, as far as octane goes, as far as gas, if you have the money to put better fuel in your car, I would. And then another thing is, don't go to any of these offbeat gas stations, that have this weird brand of gas. Because I mean, I personally feel like they just put water in there, water with a little bit of gas in it. You know what I mean? Like if you go to a little Quick Mart and they got like a little gas station and it's Clark or whatever, I try to only go to Mobil. But if I can't hit Mobil, then I'll go to like a Shell or something like that, or maybe even a BP. But so first and foremost, I wouldn't go to any of these like kind of rinky-dink side, middle of the mall type gas stations. Number one, and number two, if you have the extra money to get, better gas, it's good to,
no ghetto gas.
Give your car a little treat. You know, if you put 87 in there, usually put the 87 in every now and then. You know, throw some 93 in there, or either if you can't, you know, once a month throw an octane booster in your car. So
And I have a very similar take on that. Actually, very. I mean, we really on point. Tony and I with a lot of points. Now, if they say premium recommended, you really don't have to put premium. It means that it will not affect the performance of your vehicle per se. It's going to run better on premium, and it will give you less problems on premium, but it won't cause problems. If it says premium required, put premium in it, because the rest will fuck up your car. And mid-grade is a waste. Don't waste money. Fuck, I'm serious. If you're not gonna put premium, put the cheap shit. That's all I can say. Put the cheap shit. It's 83 or 93. Fuck 87. That mid-grade is a waste of money. It's not helping you. It's just bumping the price for the sake of bumping the price. They just stuck it in there because some people say, if I can't afford the best, I'll take the one in the middle. And so they stuck one in the middle for your ass. But the truth is, and I'm from Detroit, so I got a lot of good Arab friends. I'm gonna tell you a secret. Shell and Mobil buys their own, and Amoco, well, Amoco is now BP. They have their own gas. Everybody else is buying gas from a supplier. That's the same as aftermarket. Same concept I said before. If they're buying it from a supplier, they're looking for the cheap shit. They are price shopping because they want to maximize profits, because they can charge the same price as Shell, Amoco, Shell, BP, and Mobil. But the fact is, they're not serving you the same gas. They are serving you at the cheapest gas they could find. Period, point blank. And yeah, you can hurt you can do some
no, right, Eddie? Wow,
gradual damage to your vehicle using bullshit gas. It's not something, it won't just blow up today right away, but gradually you will have more issues with your vehicle if you put the wrong kind of gas. And if they recommend, now what another trick, and you want to look for this, it's in your manual. Another trick I found that I know Acura does it a lot, but another trick they do, they will say 89 recommended. They will say, we recommend 89 octane. Think about it. It goes from 93 to 87. So what the hell, where the fuck you supposed to find 89? Okay, you don't. You can't find it. What they're saying is you're supposed to use premium, but we know if we tell you just use premium required, you're going to get scared to buy the car. So we're going to say you can use 89.
Oh, okay.
And good luck finding that shit. Okay, I'm serious. You can't. It's not out there. It ain't happening. So they use that to keep you from being scared away from using premium gas. But the fact is, you drop all the way down to 83, and you're going to start having a little tick in your engine you can't explain.
Wow.
It is like
Eddie said, so which brands are the good ones?
Shell, Mobil, BP.
And BP. Shit, that's it. Shell, Mobil, and BP. Shell the most expensive, but, you know, if it's the one you can find, I mean, BP. You know, I use BP or Mobil myself. I don't too much mess with Shell, but that goes.
Yeah, that's a no bueno. No.
That's some old history that I got with Shell, but and they're more expensive on top of being tied to a lot of controversial shit in South Africa, but. But those are the three you want to mess with. Shell, he's right on point. Shell, Mobil, and BP. Everybody else is buying their shit off the black market.
Yeah, absolutely. So then
Arco. Literally everybody else. Arco. Sit, go. You go to sit, go. You don't know if your shit gonna sit or go. No, but seriously.
Okay.
Everybody else is buying aftermarket product. Literally, the only three companies that have their own gas is Mobil, Shell, and BP. Period.
That's funny. That's off the top two, Tim. The Arco just brought that out of me.
Just
like Tim been rehearsing. But
No,
yeah,
man,
I mean, especially with
And
them.
what about
Yeah.
grocery gas? I guess that's the
Oh,
bad gas.
like, I don't even know what that is. I don't even. First of
like
all, that's why.
Costco got they got the gas. You can use your Costco card and get it cheap. Um, Sam's Club does as well. Which
Oh yeah, gas.
Sam's Club is Walmart. If you want to take that as a hint on what you're getting, all right. So I mean that's take your chances. I'm not again. It's not going to necessarily mean that your car going to break down or anything like that. I mean, if you got a Japanese make, they're pretty durable. But as far as the best gas you can get, the most reliable and the safest choices are the only three companies have their own. Everybody else is buying black market gas. Period.
And
And you
especially
don't know what you're getting.
if you want to induce longevity. I mean, you got to look at your vehicle as being something that you want to last you over time. So you want to put the right things in it to get the best. I mean, one of the biggest thing that people misrepresent is just oil changes. Oil changes like the number one thing. I mean, because you literally change. It's like the blood in a human. You know what I mean? Like you need to change that oil. Now, for my car, I change my oil once every 10,000 miles. They recommend once every 13,000 miles, but I do it like once every 10,000 miles. And I think it's like 11 quarts of oil. So it's like so much oil in there that I don't have to change it all the time. So it goes a little bit longer. But just keeping your oil changes up to date will definitely increase the longevity of your vehicle.
Yes, absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely. And a lot of cars now have what's called oil life indicators, and those are cool because it kind of tells you because everybody burns oil differently because they drive differently. So oil life gives you a read on when you need an oil change based on how you're driving, and I pay close attention to that. They say at 15%, it'll give you a warning, but you really don't need to change it till 5. But if you covered under some type of a warranty or some type of a maintenance plan, or as soon as that damn light come on, get it changed. 'Cause as soon as mine hits 15%, I'm changing. I'm flat out. But I do have coverage though. I bought the maintenance coverage so that all I got to do is roll. There's nothing better than going to the counter after you get your car serviced and having a bill of zero. That is the best feeling in the freaking world.
Tell him the difference between a warranty and a maintenance plan.
A warranty, a warranty covers OEM items, like you were saying. It does not include wear and tear items. It does not include scheduled maintenance like tire rotations and oil changes, and those type of services are all considered maintenance. Now there are some wear and tear items that's not covered under either, like tires. Tires are not covered. You got to get if you have to get something totally different for tires unless you get road hazard. Road hazard doesn't cover wear and tear, but road hazard is definitely worth it because if you hit a nail, they give you a new tire. If you roll over some glass, you get a new tire. You've got a slow leak, you get a new. You scrape a curb, you get a new wheel. I mean, you hit a pothole. I'm being a Detroiter right now. You hit a pothole and you bend the rim, you get a brand new rim. If it puts a knot in the side of your tire, you get a brand new tire. I mean, that shit pays for itself in short time. There's no doubt about it, especially with the price of tires these days, unless you go cheap on tires. And anything you go cheap on, you're going to get what you pay for, period.
Absolutely. I mean, like this is a lot of information that, like I said, women really don't have and they would need, and this will help them to basically take care of their vehicles and
Yes.
they're getting a solid vehicle when they go to the dealership. Because the dealership, man, he gonna see you coming and he gonna be so happy to see you all along, and he finna do anything.
Yeah.
And I tell you, I'm going to give y'all a little secret here. Are we recording? Oh, shit. I'm about to get fired. I'm about to get fired for this. Okay, so here's something a lot of people don't pay attention to it, don't know. Everything is negotiable. So if you get a great deal on the front, and sometimes you can get a great deal on the front, they will give you that great deal for two reasons. One is they feel like, okay, we missed this one, we'll get the next one. Let's just move the unit. The other is they feel like maybe they can get that money on the back end of the deal. The difference between the front end and the back end, the front end is you actually purchasing the vehicle, how much you paid for the car. The back end is the things we're talking about now, the insurances, the warranties, and I buy a lot of that shit. All the shit is worth it for the right price. Most of that shit is worth it for the right price. It is all negotiable. They put a front like the price of the warranty is the price of the warranty. That shit is marked up so fucking high, it's ridiculous. That's real talk. They will charge you $1,100 for a product that the cost is $134.
Oh wow!
It is marked up like crazy. And you will find out just how much if you keep saying no. That's the bottom line. The key word to getting the best deal is to keep saying no. Be comfortable with getting up and walking away, because no is the key to saying, well, let me see what I can do. I've done both. I've done finance and I've done sales, and I tell you, I was amazed at how much the back end products are marked up. So they really want to, and finance managers, they want to make the money. Yes, they want to hit growth like everybody else, but they also are measured not only on growth, but they're also measured on what's called penetration. And what penetration is just selling the product. Just get this fucking product out of here. You know what I'm saying? So I don't have to worry about it like the average customer, because I'm getting everything not at cost, but I only pay like $50 over cost, something like that. So yeah, that $134 gonna cost me $184. I get that, but all of the products are marked up significantly in the back end. I mean, it's marked up more than the car itself. Cars don't have as much room as the back end products. So know that when you go to finance, when you go to that, when they start to talk about warranties and all of the coverages that you can get, at the right price, they're all worth it. At the right price, most of them will pay for themselves.
And then the people, if you do research before you buy a vehicle, it will save you so much. Because I mean, I literally,
thanks for sharing.
The car that I bought, I researched it for a year, and like I was going to get an extended warranty through Mercedes-Benz. The warranty that they were going to offer me was like a 3 years, 36,000, and they wanted like 8,000 for the warranty with the $500 deductible. And I was like, that's too much. So then I called my credit union, and I got the same warranty that covers everything, platinum coverage. I'm talking about electrical components, ventilated seats going out. It's covered everything, and it was like $2,800 with a $250 deductible. So you got to do your research, and you have to find out this information, or basically you'll just get taken advantage of. Like, just like Tim said, if you say yes, they're going to get you. I mean, so you got to say no, and you got to go in with a plan. Don't make impetuous decisions. Don't be an impulsive buyer. And when you go in there, you can't be grinning and showing a lot of excitement. And if they see you want that car, they'll make it kind of difficult for you.
Okay, so I can't be excited.
Just have no emotions.
No, I'm not going.
Do you remember that Chrysler?
I have to come down on that price a little bit.
Do you remember that Chrysler, Geneva? Do you remember when we went up there and the man tried to sell me a car that didn't exist? So, for instance, there was a man, he tried to sell me a 2013 Chrysler SRT8 design. So when I had seen the car online, the price range fell in between a regular Chrysler 300C with about 25,000 miles on it, and there was another Chrysler 300C with about 28,000 miles on it. And then this was a 2013 SRT8 design that had like 12,000 miles. So I was like, this is pretty peculiar, because this deal looks fantastic. So I went up there, talked to the man, drove the car, and the man was like, are you going to lose sleep over it? And I was like, no. I was like, I can sleep fine if I don't get the car. And he was like, well, then this must not be the car for you. And I'm like, dude, can you just stop with this manager, his salesman tactics? And so basically, he was like, well, yeah, I can't take $1 off, not $1. And so I was like, well, you know what? Let me think about it. And I went home and I did research. So I called Chrysler and I had them run the VIN number on the car. And they told me that car doesn't exist. He said there is no 2013 SRT8 design. He was like, the last year for that is 2008. This car came as a 300C, a regular 300C. Now, somebody may have gotten into an accident and put all those parts on it to make it look a certain way. And that's why it's probably not priced accurately.
Eddie's back again.
So, and then I was like, okay, so I called him up. I was like, look, I know this car doesn't exist, which kills the resale value. I'm not giving you 30 grand for this car. I'll give you 20 cash. And it was like, well, a whole 10,000. I was like, well, I can't sell it back to anybody because you selling me a car that's like a unicorn. It doesn't exist. And they were like, well, no, we can't do that. I was like, okay, well, good luck. But see, I know that there's going to be some dude that's probably driving this car tonight. And he think he's killing the game right now. But he's driving a car that's not even real.
Right. And then you say, but didn't they take like a symbol thing or whatever that is on the back of another car and then put it on this car?
Yeah.
Didn't they do that?
Yeah, they put the badge. They took a.
But can you even do that? Hey, Lance, how you doing, Lancey?
No, it wasn't a salvage car. What they did is they took the badging, the insignia, and they stuck it on the back of another car. You know how some people get Impalas or whatnot, and then they just put the SS logo on there as if it's a super sport, but it's not. You just stick logos because that's what you probably wish it was, but it's not that.
But that is so deceitful. Like, how you gonna stick that on the back of a car and tell a person that's what? See, like that's what I'm saying.
Normally when that happens, though, when that happens, because that a car like that will lose so much value in trade, they sell those on consignment, and you can find that out, and that's why they have that's where the threshold is held by the customer, and what that means is, I got this car that I know damn well I don't know anybody that can pull 30 grand out their pocket and trust me with it. So if I give it to a dealership to sell it, they can keep a profit and sell it on my behalf. So they're selling it on consignment. In other words, if this don't sell, you just get your freaking car back. That's all. If I sell it, fine, then I'll pay you what you're asking for it, and I can take the rest. If I don't, just take your freaking car. And trust me, consignment cars sit at the dealership. Most dealerships won't even fuck with them. No. Consignment cars will sit at a dealership for a long ass time because they're there for a reason. Because don't nobody want it, and the reason they're doing it on consignment because we wasn't gonna give you shit for it because we know what it is you're trying to do, and that's normally when you see cars like that. That's exactly what it. Because we had one of those consignment cars when I was in Land Rover in Dallas, and it was just that. It was an SR8, and it was loaded up with all kind of aftermarket bullshit. I mean, it was ridiculously loaded up, and the damn thing was there when I got there, and it was there when I left. It's simple as that. Nobody buy. I mean, everybody looked at it. Because it looked good. I mean, it looked great. It was clean. It had this custom interior. And, you started talking about it, and then it's how much it costs. And they're like, man, I may as well get the Land Rover.
People get asphyxiated on how things look instead of the mechanics of it.
Hola, JD.
They don't look at the mechanics of it, and then they end up getting a lemon. And then after they get the car, the dealership are like, that's as is. You didn't get a warranty. And you just, a lot of people feel stuck.
Yeah. And buying new and used is two different markets. Buying new and buying used is two different markets, man. That's a fact.
They say, thank you for your services. I'm like, no, it wasn't me, but
Yeah. Thank you anyway. Thank whoever gave you the shirt.
Right. Right. He did a great job. He really did. Thank you for joining. But what was I going to say? Right. Because Tony here actually helped my daughter out with her car. because I have a 20-year-old daughter and she purchased her very first vehicle. But what she did is she went and she just purchased it and didn't tell me that she was getting a car. So she told me maybe about 2-3 weeks later, she called and was like actually calling, crying on the phone, like, Mom, I have this car. And I think she said that what did she say, that like the engine went out in the car or the transmission or something happened?
It was a 2011 Kia Optima that she had purchased, and she had the vehicle for less than 2 weeks. Already the engine had went out. So I said, so give me some of the details. The car had about 74,000 miles, which was way too much. What is it, Tim? Are they doing 12,000 miles a year, or is it 15?
12 is the average, but 15 is not horrible. I mean, when I measure it by leases, they will only do leases 10, 12, or 15 because once you're putting more than 15,000 miles a year, you're beating the car up. You're killing the value. Absolutely. Yeah. But 12 is the number you want to shoot for.
Okay. So it was way over 12,000 miles per year. It's in 2011 and it had its 4 years. So roughly the car should have been at about 48, maybe 50,000 miles. So if the car was at 75,000 miles, it's 25,000 over. So I'm like, number one, you should have never paid that much for the car. And I was like, number two, did you get an extended warranty? And she said no. And the engine had went out. So I was like, okay. So she said that the dealership that she bought the car from told her that they were going to charge her like $2,000 to get the engine fixed, but they were going to give her a break and only charge her like $1,500. And I said, no, you don't have to pay for that. So I called the finance company in her behalf, and I told them, I'm going to instruct her to leave the car. You guys can come pick it up and get y'all car. And then y'all need to talk to the dealership because you can't sell a lemon. You can't sell a car and then a week later the whole engine goes out and put that off on somebody. There's laws against that. And then the man was like, well, we can take the car back, but whatever we sell it for, she has to pay the difference of what we sell it for. I said, no, she's not going to pay the difference because the car is no good. I was like, the car is no good. I'm like, she has 30 days. And they were like, well, she needs to pay the first payment. I said, no, so she can be locked in to the conditions and the terms and agreements. I said, absolutely not. So we're going to leave the car there. Either you can fix it or you can keep it and try to fix it and resell it. I said, either one is up to you. I said, but meanwhile, she needs a loaner vehicle because they didn't want to give her a loaner vehicle either. So basically, to make a long story short, when we finished up with them, they ended up fixing the car. And I actually advised her to get a different car, but she's a girl. She loved the Kia. She liked the color, and that's her first car, so she became partial to it. So she ended up keeping the car, got the engine fixed, and I said you need to get an extended warranty, probably from a third-party company, and find like a decent warranty. So when you get it, send me the paperwork. I'll look over it and tell you if it's a go. But when she actually brought her paperwork over, I actually reviewed some of her documents, and immediately I seen a whole bunch of illicitory stuff going on. It was just, they put the car at like 14,000. Then on another set of paperwork, the car was 16,000. And I was like, this doesn't even make sense. What's going on with this paperwork? I'm like, did you look at this? And she was like, no, I just signed it. But that's what women do, especially if they're by themselves with nobody there. And especially at that age, she's so excited that she can get a car.
Yeah, that's just what it was.
And they said yes, that she would have signed anything.
Right.
That's what.
I don't know where Tim went. Tim went somewhere, but yeah, she was definitely super excited about going to get a car, and why she didn't let her mom know. I have the slightest idea, because that wouldn't have never happened if I was there, because I at least have enough sense to, check the mileage and be like, hon, that is way too much. That is way too many miles. But yeah, she was happy about it. And she ended up working the whole situation out herself, because she didn't like what Chad wanted her to do. And what Chad wanted her to do was say, leave that fucking car, because that shit is ridiculous. And then you can go and get you another car. Like, she's 20 years old. She had it in her own mind, how she wanted to resolve the situation. So she ended up getting the car fixed, not doing it in the way that they wanted her to do it, but she got the car fixed and she's still having now, and it's working fine because she actually lives in Arkansas, and she drove all the way from Arkansas out here to Illinois to visit not too long ago in the car, and it worked out fine. But I let her know to never do that again. I mean, like, come on, Essence. Like, you don't, that's her name, Essence. You don't even know anything about cars, and you're just going to go and get the car on your own. But that's the thing that we're talking about. Her whole thing was she knew that, you know, back when she was younger, I always had issues with cars. And one thing I always told her is that make sure that when you get older and you start working and doing your thing, make sure that you get you a new car. So you don't always have to worry with, this is what I'm telling her, always have to worry about with the car breaking down, and there's always issues. So I see where her mindset was at. That's what she was thinking about when she went to go get the car. She was thinking, well, I don't want to have the same issues that my mom always had with her cars. She got a car. It wasn't brand new. It broke down and all of this stuff all the time. So I'm going to go and get me a brand new car. So she did. She went and got a 2013, but she didn't go to a major car dealership, which I would have recommended her going to. She went to a little rinky dink in town down the street dealership. And you see what they did to her. They completely played her, gave her a lemon, then told her that she had to keep it. And then after she done already gave them the money down on the car, and then they gave her a lemon and the car break down on it. But what, two weeks later, then they tell her that she needs to produce all of this money to fix it because they're not going to fix it. I mean, just a whole bunch of drama. But so yeah.
Now,
so
I'm gonna fill you in on something you might not know. Lemon laws actually don't apply to used cars, but the reason they bailed out is because also a lot of those kind of lots, if it's not a major dealership, they are selling at their own risk. There's no credit involved. They tell you they are financing themselves. If they in-house finance and stuff like, and they're not using a bank, an actual bank, there's no credit involved. Therefore, you can actually just walk away from the car anytime you want to, and it doesn't affect your credit. The downside of that is you can pay interest on top of interest and pay all of these thousands of dollars, and it didn't help your credit one freaking bit. So they prey on people with credit challenges because they know you're coming to us. You're coming to us because we have a sign that say bad credit will get you done. That bad credit, no credit. They're preying on you because they know you don't know any better, and you're buying this thinking that if I miss a payment, I'm fucking up my credit, when it's not. So they know if you give this car back, and we got to take this car back, then we got to get it fixed and try to resell it because it's on us, because it ain't hurting you. It ain't hurting your credit at all. I've had so many customers come to me. We're thinking we're going through the appraisal process. We're doing all this. We're thinking they got all this negative equity. And then we find out that their title is held by somebody. We pull the credit like that shit ain't even on your credit. Here, let's kick that car out the deal. Lose your negative equity. Fuck your negative equity. Get into something that you can afford that's going to help you rebuild your credit, because it takes credit to fix credit. Let's help you rebuild your credit. Drive that car. Have somebody follow you to that dealership in that car and tell them, adios, motherfuckers. Take your car back. And that's how you. I mean, it's the biggest ripoff. Stick with major dealerships. I mean it, because you want to deal with the real bank, because these other places are not helping you at all. The only way they're helping you, they're getting you from a point A to point B. Yeah, that's great if that's all you need. But if you have credit issues, or you need to build credit, or you need to repair credit, go to a dealership that's going to give you a real freaking bank. New cars and used cars, it's a totally different ball game, and there's a lot of little stuff that comes into play. That's why I always say you lease new and buy used, because you don't want to take the depreciation hit if you don't have to. Let somebody else take it.
You're straight preaching right there.
Yes.
Those places that say, that say buy here, pay here. You're absolutely 100,000% right. Right. They're paying for it. That's why you usually pay like once every 2 weeks or something like that. And it isn't on your credit. I just had a Geneva, you know the boy Shelby that works.
I gotta address Eddie real quick. Tony, I'm sorry. If
Oh, it's
you
okay.
go to a place called Repossess Auto Sales, run the fuck in the other direction, man. That is not a place you want to go.
That's what Eddie did say that too.
I don't think he meant that he was gonna go there. I think he was just letting us know that.
Then you need to come see my boy Ife. He has a what we call a repo lot. So if somebody trying to repo your car, you just pay him $15. He can park it on his lot. They'll never find that motherfucker. That's
Oh wow.
Right there. Yeah, them. That's what I was telling my a friend of mine, Shelby. He hasn't established any credit. So basically, he went and got a car. He got it from a buy here, pay here place, and he's had the vehicle for 2 years. And I'm like, well, it was a detriment for you to even get that vehicle because number one, it didn't even hit your credit. So you're in the exact same predicament that you're in right now. I'm like, it didn't help you out for your credit at all. So those buy here, pay here places don't do anything, and they usually put like tracking devices in the vehicles or whatnot. So if you don't pay, they're gonna come, scoop it up. When you actually think about it and break it down and think about how much money a car makes in its lifetime, it's ridiculous. Cars make so much money in their lifetime. I mean, one person has it, they might have leased it, and then another person has it, and he had it for some years, and then somebody else got it or whatnot. So yeah, stay away from those mom and pop dealerships. Dealerships that probably got like 10, 15 cars on their lot. I don't go to none of them places. I mean, I will go to a real dealership and find some decent used cars there, and exactly what Tim was saying, get something to establish your credit. Get some $5,000 or less, maybe $6,000. They probably want to see you put down about 20% of your loan, and get that, put $1,000, $1,500 down, get your car, establish and build your credit. 2 years, trade it and get something else, or either pay it off.
You save $3,000, you can get into a reputable dealership with a reputable bank into a $12,000 to $15,000 car that's going to get you some manageable payments under $400 a month, and you will have reliable transportation that's not going to break down, because that is the key. A lot of people think they can go with an older, lower cost car because they got bad credit, and that you're thinking backwards. The way you have to think of these banks and these loans is to think like you're the bank. Think you are about to loan a perfect stranger $12,000. Think about it that way. Now, the reason you're loaning him because he has to pay for this car. Now, do you trust him with a car that's 2 years old with 20,000 miles? Or do you trust him with a car that's 9 years old with 117,000 miles? Because guess what's going to happen when that motherfucker break down? You become the lowest priority on the totem pole, and they are not going to pay you back. So unless you have stellar credit, they're not going to loan you that money. But if you can save $3,000, that shows commitment. Saving money and putting a down payment shows the commitment. And you want a car that's within 4 years of age and less than 80,000 miles. To do wisely, that's for the bank's purposes, for getting a loan purpose. For your own purpose, you take the number of years and you divide it by you take the number of miles and you divide it by the number of years, and you want to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 15,000 miles a year, no more. 12 is the magic number. 12 is your hot spot. But you want to be definitely want to be less than 15,000 miles a year, because more than 15,000 miles a year is excessive wear and tear on the vehicle, and it's not going to be worth it. And going back to something Tony was speaking about earlier in negotiating point, when they are definitely hit the rock bottom and they say, look, we can't go, this is used cars. When they say we can't go any lower than that, this is it, that's the bottom number, they're going to prove it. They're going to prove it. They're going to bring a sheet of paper. They're going to sit it in front of you and say, this is what we own it for. This is the lowest I can go. If they ain't proving it to you,
they got some more room.
They got some more room.
Sitting up the line talking about they can't go down low.
Another good piece of information is When I went to go get my car, I didn't go to a conventional financing. I went to my credit union. A lot of people don't know about through their own banks and going through their own credit unions. Now, I prefer a credit union over banks because the rates are a lot better. I mean,
Oh yeah, that's the
I'm a
information.
part of Baxter Credit Union because I used to work for Baxter Pharmaceuticals. So once I left that particular job, I just stayed with the credit union. I mean, I get 2.5% interest on my regular checking account. I mean, literally, it's free money, you know. Secondly, when I got a loan for them, um, they gave me interest financing at like 5%, and then I just refinanced last month at 2% interest. So even at Chase, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, these bigger banks, they're not even giving you they're called they loan conservatively, like Bank of America. Even if you have a 750 or 800, they don't want to give you those low interest rates because they just want to make money. But these credit unions, if you get into a good credit union, they'll save you so much money. I mean, I could even, houses are right now at 3.99% fixed interest, on a house right now. So credit unions is the way to go if you can get a loan through your own credit union opposed to a bank. So that's another good piece. Find a good
I'm,
credit
you know
union.
what? I'm gonna take that, and then I'm gonna run with it because he is 98% correct. Okay, so
Okay.
this is what the dealership is gonna do. The finance manager is going to every reputable dealership. Now the ones that can hack, those if you go to those no name places, they ain't got no fucking rules. Okay, they can do whatever. They gonna kill you on interest. But you go to a reputable dealership, they are regulated to 2 points. So they can, which means they can mark up the rate that you get from the bank 2 points. So if they get you a 2.9, they can charge you as much as 4.9. Okay, so when you got a 4.9, you probably have a 2.9. You may so that's one point. So he is 100% correct in that you should go to a credit union first. Join a credit union. It's in your best interest to join one tomorrow. Join a credit union, be a member, and when you go to the credit union first and get a rate. Now, I'm going to say it. Are we still recording? I'm going to get fired tomorrow. So okay, fuck the credit unions, fuck the banks. Okay, all the money grab. It's all money, and it's yours. It's your fucking money. It ain't theirs till you let them have it. So fuck them all. Let the credit union give you a rate because they do give aggressive rates. But believe it or not, the dealerships make these banks a lot more money than any of us. Okay, they make these banks a lot of money. They are getting extremely aggressive rates from these banks. They're just not giving them to you because you're not earning them. And the way you earn them is you come in and they throw that 4.9 in your face and you show them the 2.67 or the 2.8 that you got from your credit union. They're going to call those banks. They have relationships because they make those banks a lot of money. And they're going to say, you got to be 2.8 or I got to go OSF, which means outside financing. And they don't want to go outside financing because they don't get paid a jack shit. If they get anything, even if they just take a flat, they get a flat rate, meaning a buy rate. The same amount that we got to pay the bank is the same amount we get. They still get a flat. And so they'll take the flat over nothing. Something is better than nothing. I'd rather get a flat than nothing. So they're going to find a way to beat that credit union rate. Okay, trust me, those banks can beat it. They will find a way to beat that credit union rate and give you your freaking money because money is money and it's yours. It ain't the credit unions. It ain't the banks. It ain't none of them. Make them compete for your business. That's how you earn the best rate you can get. You go in with one. If you go in with a rate, they got to beat it and they can't bullshit you.
Okay, because I mean that's new information or whatever.
I'll give them knowledge right now. I'm just getting knowledge.
Okay, because when I went to my car, I seen the car that I wanted. I negotiated it And then I called my bank. I said, this is the car I want. They cut me a check. I went up there and got it. And then they were like, what are, I said, what are y'all extended warranties, for a car like that? What do you guys? He was like, well, for about 2 years, 24,000 miles, I can do $5,000. I was like, that's terrible because I got 3 years, 36 for 2. He was like, wow. And I was like, so what can you do as far as interest? He was like, well, your credit's good, so we could do like 7%. I was like, I got 5. He was like, man, those credit unions are killing us. So when I went into the dealership, I really had nothing to say to them. I was like, get my car, here's my check, and please clean up everything and put it outside for me.
Yeah, if they can't beat it, they will let you run with it. I mean, if they can't, but oftentimes they can. And if they can, then fine. If you can beat it, yeah, let's rock and roll. Because it's money. Interest rate is nothing but another form of putting a dollar sign in front of something. They change the numbers. They put a percent behind it. They put a point. They put this. It's all money, and that's what people got to understand is that if every point on that interest rate is costing you $10 a month, so if those 2 points over 5 years is $10 a month for 5 years, that's a lot of freaking money, right? So you go if you come in with a rate, they have to beat it. If you don't come in with the rate, you have no idea what you're worth. You haven't earned a lower rate. You haven't earned. You're gonna get whatever they give you.
Okay, but I mean, what about these people? Because there's a lot of people that their credit scores aren't doing too good. And when they go try to get a car, especially if they get outside financing, because let's say the bank is not going, they're going to hit them with something like 17, 18, 25% on that first loan. So
that's when you swallow your pride. That's when you swallow your pride and you don't go for the car that you want, but you get the car that fits your situation. And that is my people's biggest problem. They want the car they want. They want the one that's cute. They want the one that looks good. They want the one with an L on the front, or they want some kind of symbol to make it. But guess what? And today is not. Forget about the car you're buying. Think about the next car you're going to buy. That's how I think. If you don't think about this car, think about your next car. So you want to make sure you buy this one right. Get something you can afford because it takes credit to fix credit. So your bad credit got you a 17%, and you're gonna be stuck with that 17% till you pay off this car because it's gonna create negative equity. Ain't no doubt about it. Because the higher your interest rate, every time you pay a car note, you're paying more interest than you are paying for that car. You're paying the bank. You're paying the bank money before you pay the car. So you got to pay that off. Get yourself into a situation that you can get a payment that makes it reasonable for you so that you can build that credit back up. And when you come back, you'll find that your score has bumped a whole lot and you'll end up getting more car for less money the next time around because if you drop 12 points, that's 12 times. That's $120 a month. That's coming off of your car note. That is $120 a month if you drop 12 points. So those 17 points, if you see that rate,
that's so much.
Look for bad credit. Bad credit. It just is what it is. Again, if I'm going to loan you this money, how do I make sure I get my money back? That's all an interest rate is. It's the way the bank gets paid. It's how the bank gets the money. It's you paying the bank for loaning you the money. It's you paying the bank for loaning you the money. So if you put me at a high risk of getting my money back, I'm going to put a high interest rate on it so I can get as much of my money back as I can before you default on my loan again.
Yep.
Right. I want as much of it as I can get, and that interest is going to give me as much as I can get before you default on it. So what you want to go with a lower price car, a newer car with lower miles. Fuck how it looks. Just know that you're getting into a good situation for you that's going to get you some reliable transportation at a good price so that you can build your credit back up. Because the next time you come around, and because people think about, I can handle $500 a month. Okay, but can you handle that $500 a month plus your rent, plus your you forget about all the other shit you got to pay for, right? So you want to go in low and make it manageable, and that way when you come back, your credit score is bumped about 100 points and your interest rate drops about 12 points, and you'll find yourself in a $20,000 car at a lower payment than you paid for that $12,000 car. And that's a fact. I've seen it way too many times. And don't fall for don't worry, in 6 months you can refinance. Bullshit. In 6 months, you're going to have negative equity up the ass. Just ride it out. You ain't going to be able to refinance for at least a couple years because it takes a lot of time to make up for 17% interest. It takes a lot of freaking time. It really does.
17 is a bit rough. I mean, and also you could look into getting an amortization chart, which will actually show you your payments broken down and what the principal is actually going to and what you're paying the interest. So let's say hypothetically your car note is $500 a month and you're at like 20% or 20, 25, 30% interest. Out of that money, I mean, 150 of that is going to something else. And then that only some of that money, partial of that, is even hitting your car note.
That's
so
right.
And a lot of people don't understand that. That's why it takes you so long. So if you're paying $500 and you paying $200 to your actual principal and you paying $300, especially in those first few years, because that is so front heavy that they, just like Tim said, they want most of their money back in the beginning because of probability. If you're high risk and the car being a poor vehicle, it's going to break down. So they want to make as much money as they can make off you in the beginning. Let the car break down, they'll take it back from you, repossess it, go flip it and give it to somebody else and make more of their money back. But if you're only paying $200 towards your loan and you paying $300 towards the interest, it's going to take you forever to pay that car back. That's right. Why, like Tim said, you got to just get something that's good for right now that gets you to point A to point B. Then your next car, then you can get a little flashy, get you a nicer vehicle because you've earned it and you've got your credit to another space.
And another thing, if you can afford $350, try to find something that's less than $350 and pay $350. Anything you pay over and above your car note goes 100% towards the principal. So you want to consistently try to keep paying towards the principal. If you have high interest rate, you're bypassing interest. Every time you pay over and above your car note, that however much that number is, if it's $50 more than your car note, that $50 is bypassing interest. You're paying that $50 with no interest. It's all going towards the principal cost of the car, and it's a good thing to do because it speeds up the process of you getting rid of that negative equity that your interest is going to create. And that's a fact. And something else that comes up when I think of high interest that we didn't mention yet is it's again another product that's very, 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 very marked up on your ass. But it's important. You want to talk it down, but you want gap insurance if you've got high interest, because gap insurance will save your ass when you're sitting at a light and somebody's texting and driving and rams behind you and totals out your shit. Because the last thing you want to do is be paying for a car, a $350 note on a car that you can't drive. What the gap insurance does is it covers the gap. How much you owe versus how much your car is worth, because they will cover that negative equity for you. And that's what gap insurance does, and you want it. Trust me, I have it. I live by it.
I never even heard of that one. Have you heard of that one, Chad?
Yeah, I have that on my car.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I read through all of my documents and paperwork, and I said, I sat there and the lady and I conversed for a while. I read everything line by line. I went through it. I asked questions. I make sure that I'm just not signing some, because a lot of people, like I said, get excited when they can get some. They just make impetuous decisions, off of impulse. So yeah, and it
And,
was
and
So
it's
some people,
insurance
Geneva,
usually, so is the gap insurance usually included in full coverage insurance, or is that
no,
something
it's
that you
not.
have to
It's
ask
separate.
for?
you get
It's
when you
separate.
buy the car.
Oh,
Gap
okay.
insurance is separate. It's normally a back end product that you'll get in finance.
And gap
Um,
insurance is cheap too. It's like
it can be. Yeah, it really is. They'll mark it up on your ass, but it's really not that expensive, and it is valuable as hell. It's the higher your interest rate, the more important it is, because the higher your interest rate, the more likely you're going to be driving around with negative equity over your head and you don't even realize it. And if somebody tears your shit up, you are screwed unless you got gap.
Yep. So basically, he's saying like, your car is always depreciating, and even if you have insurance, you get into an accident, and your insurance is only going to cover so much of the car, what the value of the car is. And if you just paid 30 grand for it, and then it depreciated, and you got into an accident, they may say, okay, this is worth 22. So then, what do you do with 22 grand, and you got a loan out for 30,000?
You got an $8,000 gap, and that's what
Exactly.
gap insurance covers. Gap
Exactly.
insurance would cover that $8,000 gap. And it's not just depreciation. It's also, like he said, with the interest rate, you might be paying $200 a month towards the price of the car, and the other $300 is paying for the money that you were loaned for that car. So guess what? That means it's going very slowly towards equity because you're paying very little on the actual value of that vehicle. So when it gets torn up, you paid so much in interest and so little in principal that the insurance company ain't paying no interest. They're paying for the value of the vehicle. So the value of the you never caught up. So they're like he said, if that value of the vehicle is at 12, but your loan is still at 20, you got an $8,000 gap. And gap insurance will pick that up for you. Otherwise, you stuck with it. Give you that 12,000, and you still got $8,000 that you owe the bank.
So then, what do you do? Like you just put yourself in debt,
Exactly. You just screwed yourself. Absolutely.
and nobody cares.
Yeah. Now, if your gap is but here's another thing about gap that might be benefit you as well, Tony. Uh, Gap is really only valuable for so much time.
Yeah, they do.
Depending on what your interest rate is how long your gap is valuable. Because think about it, the more you're paying, the closer you're coming to the actual value of the car. When you're like $200-300 away from the value of the car, gap insurance don't mean shit. I can cover that 200. I don't have to pay. You can go cancel it. Gap is cancelable. You can cancel your gap insurance at any time and get some cash back. Get that taken off of your pay, and it'll lower your payment because you no longer you can get reimbursed for whatever is left in your gap insurance. Whatever is considered unused in your gap, you can get reimbursed because it's no longer valuable after a couple of years, depending on your interest rate. Because my gap ain't shit no more. My gap is $200-300. Fuck it. Somebody total it and I got $200, whatever. I'll go tell the dealership, look, I got $200 of a gap. That's fine. We'll roll that $200 into the price of the new car and let's rock and roll. Trust me, I've done that several times. I've rolled $2,000 over into the price of a new car from somebody that had a $2,000 gap. That's whatever. But one thing they learned when they got into the new car, you better get gap now because now you got a $2,000 just added to your negative equity.
But I just started a few months ago.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you got a 60-month car loan, you're not actually paying into that car until about that third year.
Yeah, that third, depending on your interest rate. If your interest rate is very aggressive, you into your second year, you eating into it pretty good. You're gaining ground on the value of your vehicle, but on an average, it takes at least 3 years. On an average, it takes at least 3 years to catch up. And if you're above average, if you got that high ass interest, forget about it.
You ain't gonna never catch up.
You ain't gonna catch up till it's over.
That's why you want something that has a good resale value to it, like a Lexus or a Toyota or something like that. Because let's say you want to trade it in. Let's say you're no longer upside down in your loan, and you say, you know what, I want to trade this in. It's been 3 years. Well, that car has the able to trade it in and not owe a whole bunch of money or owe anything. You might just kind of break even, which that's good because that means the amount of money that you paid into it and the depreciated value came to like a center point, like it plateaued, so you won't be upside down. But a lot of people they be like, oh, I'm gonna trade in this car after a year, and then they get a car that's more expensive, and so then they just tack on what wasn't paid when you traded in, the other car. So you might have 4 or 5 grand that you tacked on to yourself, and I mean, it's just so many easy ways to get into debt, messing around with these cars and credit cards and all that stuff. If you don't, if you're not methodical, you have to use a method. You need to research, and you need people like us that are that are experienced to kind of let you know, and you pass that information down, help somebody else out.
That's right. I totally agree. And Geneva,
Yeah.
she popped out. You still here? I heard her say, "Yeah." Oh, I see her up there. She's still in the room, so she can probably hear me. It's not just bring a guy with you. You got to bring the right guy, because you better believe we get some guys too. Not every man knows how to buy a car. Not every man knows how to buy a car. You'll come in thinking you're getting help because he's a male. The penis don't scare us. Trust me. They have to know what they're talking about. They have to know their shit too. Because if they come in and don't know their shit, we'll get you probably even better, because now we've got an advocate. We have somebody that you trust that we can get over on. You trusting him? Well, we're about to screw this motherfucker easy. We got him, and you trusting his word because he's a male. You got to know. You got to have the right male. It ain't just a male. It's just like a relationship. You can't just have a man. You got to have that right man. So, because not every man comes in smarter than you, and there's some women that come in on that game too. Don't get me wrong. It really is a lot of them, but be wise when you choose who comes in with you, or just be open to taking the advice from the right people, because they will save you a lot of money.
What would you say the percentage on a markup on used cars? Because I know dealerships don't make a ton of money on new cars, but used cars is their bread and butter. So what would you say the average markup on a used car would be?
Wow, it depends, and this is another point that I'm gonna get fired for, because we still recording.
Well, if you been that, you already been let go, so you should even show up tomorrow.
It varies, and it depends on how long they had it. See, a car dealership pays taxes every month that their car is sitting on their lot. On the first of the month, if that car is sitting on their lot, they have to pay taxes on it. It's costing them money. So they're going to drop the price. And if a second month come and that car is still sitting on the lot, it's costing them money again. So they're going to mark it down again. It's tough to call, because they vary depending on how much they own it for, and that's what makes them more valuable than the used car in the new cars. In most cases, I've found that to be true, because you never know what they own it for. You can see what it's worth and everything, but whoever traded it in, if they wasn't smart when they traded it in, we could have gave them a lot less than what it was worth, and now we can sell it for what it is worth.
Okay.
So that gap depends, because they go by the true market value as far as what they charge, but they try to buy it as cheap as they can, just like aftermarket products that we talked about earlier. We're going to try to get it for as little as we can, because we're going to sell it for whatever the market says it sells for. So if we want to try to maximize our profits. and that's it's really an extremely wide variable there because, but with new cars, it is what it is. They cost what they cost. You know, I can't do anything the next dealership can't do unless I'm just willing to lose money, and they're not. That's the only way I can truly beat somebody else's best offer. But with used cars, you're not going to know what they own it for until they're losing money. When they're losing money, when they're about to lose a couple grand on it, they'll bring it to you. They'll bring you a sheet of paper and say, "Look, this is what I own it for right here, and this is what I'm charging you. I don't have another dime." Until they go to prove it, they still making money. They still making money until they're willing to prove it. Because they want to sell a car, so they don't want you to walk out. So they'll prove it before they let you walk out. If they don't prove it and they let you walk out, the car is still probably fairly new. So it's a good question to ask, how long has this car been on your lot? It's a fair question to ask. How long have you had it? You know, some salespeople don't know, but they can find out. But if you got a green salesperson, he probably don't even know how to find out. He's just like, duh. But a lot of people have the dealership has resources to know how long they've had this car, because the longer I have it, the more it costs me. So it's a fair question to ask. And if they've had it for 90 days or close to 90 days, they're trying to get rid of it. They want that freaking car out of there, because come the first of the month, that fucking car gonna cost me some money.
Okay. Tim, man, I could talk about cars all day. I followed you.
Yeah.
Same here.
I definitely followed you. Man, I gotta get up early. I got some meetings to go to.
Oh, right, you do. I forgot all about that. Right, you didn't say nothing.
You're just gonna let me just let that happen.
Well, look, y'all talking about cars. You lost my interest alone.
Yeah, I was supposed to be out of here. I was supposed to be
nothing to say about no heels. I mean,
I was supposed to be off.
I mean, come on now, man. Come on. Are we gonna incorporate some nail polish?
We talked about heels last night.
I mean, just y'all selfish. Just
you know what? Tomorrow night, I can be back here. We can talk about some girl stuff, and then we can get some men's perspective on some girl stuff.
They don't want to talk about that unless we talking about vagina or something. They don't want to talk about no nail polish unless they talk about nail polish and vagina. Now, if it's nail polish and vagina,
hear about the lady that got busted trying to pack a 22 in her swaggy P in her vagina.
Well, the fact that she can fit that shit in there is amazing. Like, I know the baby come out of there, but
I was like, talk about a hot pocket. I mean, that you needed to pop your cherry. My goodness.
Right, Tim is good at this stuff. Like, he be coming with it. You know, Tim.
I was just wondering if she could squeeze one off with her Kegels, just pow. I'm like, damn, all these years I've been worried about venereal disease. This chick can blow a hole in you.
I know, right? Amazing.
That's too much lubrication, though, man. It's gonna make the gun malfunction.
Oh no.
It was loaded and chambered too, man.
It's sweaty bullets, man.
Oh my goodness.
Like a roll.
Y'all men are too much. But it in our time, it is 1:13 a.m.
Same here. I'm in the same time zone.
Oh, okay. So yeah, we're just up late, late.
I was supposed to be. I had it in my head. I was going to be disciplined tonight, and I was going to be off of here by midnight. And I was just popping in to listen, and y'all just kept on playing.
Well, I'm happy that you came on, Tim. I mean, because I was only supposed to be on here for a little bit talking about TMZ, because I said it was going to be my goal to come on Blab. This make my second time, because I want to make this my platform to start Geneva's Closet talk show and bring on my people from my magazine over here that I'm starting in January. So I wanted to have this as my platform to interview them. So I said that I have to make myself used to this. So I'm going to come on more often. So I came on today, was only supposed to be on for a little bit. You came on, we done had a full conversation and definitely been on here for 2 hours, over 2 hours now. So, so I'm happy about it because I feel loose. I'm feeling good. this was a great conversation for the people.
Not as loose as that girl that got a 22 up in her stuff.
Oh my God.
I'm glad
I have
you
to watch
loose,
my
though.
words. I have to watch my words. But you know, this is Geneva's Closet, so I guess you can say anything, but I'm just gonna have to watch how I phrase it because Tim, he be coming with it. You know, he be waiting. But anyway, thank you because and then I press record all late about it. Like I meant to press record a long time ago. I forgot, did it like halfway, you know, in the middle of it. But
it was the best seminar. First of all, if a person listens to this, they know everything. They know everything. There is nothing. They know everything.
Gave a lot of information about cars, a lot. Tim and Tony, you all did a great job. So Tim, I definitely appreciate you, and I followed you. And how often do you come on?
I come on a lot. I've been on here a long time. I was introduced to this site by Sean, who's the CEO of this site, way back when it was about 30 people on here. So
oh wow,
I've been here for a long time. That's why I'm the OG. That's why they call me the OG. So I'm on a lot. I hang out with a lot of people.
I'll start crip walking.
That's why everybody came. Almost everybody came in. I knew them. So
they did say that, yes.
So that's all that is. But on that note, man, I do need to get out of here. So
okay,
it's been great. Good to meet both of you and kick it with y'all guys for a little while.
Yeah.
Everybody that came in is smarter for listening to us.
Yes.
Yes, definitely. We thank you guys
so much, Tim.
Hopefully next time you see me, I still have a job.
Yes, you will. Yes. Yes, because you definitely gave a lot of good information. Everybody. Yes, but hopefully I will be able to join you on your blab one day, Tim. So thank you.
Leave an open seat for me.
Anytime.
Right.
I gotta put my exit music on. All right,
I just don't trust that. You know, I'm very skeptical and leery of people. So, you know, like I said, if you can, if possible, just go ahead and get most of everything done at the dealership. That way, that'll actually increase the resale value because you'll have all that paperwork and that documentation.
Hi, Jalen.
That's been at the dealer. So your car's been serviced at the dealer every time. And it just looks good for the history of the vehicle.
He said that his city has the only Mercedes factory in the U.S. So how do you feel about this whole Jiffy Lube thing? Like, I don't even know what the big thing is.
Thank you, Eddie. I appreciate it, man.
Tim. So what's the question on a Jiffy Lube? Like, is Jiffy Lube a good place to go to or what?
Yeah, Tim, what's your take on it? If you're talking, Tim, we can't hear you.
Oh, right. Tim, we can't even hear you.
My bad. I was muted. Okay. I didn't know I was muted.
Oh, no.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, especially with Eddie asked the question, driving a Nissan, you definitely want to go, you want to get dealership documentation. You have full service records. It does help you hold value on your vehicle. That's what a lot of people don't pay attention to, is holding value of your vehicle, because that means a lot moving forward. Now, there are some German car, when you have a German car, there are some specialists out there, but if you're not referred to by somebody that has a German car and has had more than one and used that person, don't trust the specialist, because every mechanic thinks he's a specialist, or every claims to be a specialist, and he will fuck your car up. I'm sorry, but he keep
it real in the closet.
I have been in one of the specialists and found